All right, everybody, I am back on the lawn. This is exciting. This is the day that I told you was coming. I'm going to test out that Strawless sprayer and give it a comparison against the Ortho sprayer. So without further ado, let's roll that intro.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? All right, we're back on the lawn. Still not lawn care season here. Still snow around. Still cold. Still everything. I was just walking around with a Groundskeeper 2 rake, raking up a little bit. That was a nice gift from Matt DeGoyer. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it. Didn't really have a whole lot of thatch to speak of. Just kind of raked it through the lawn and just to see what would happen. You know, I imagine that's a really good tool for a lot of people. But that's not why you're here today. You're here today because in my last video, I mentioned something. I mentioned a Strawless sprayer that I was itching to try out. Now, it's as simple as this. So you guys are all used to this. A pretty handy tool, Ortho Scott's Miracle-Gro, okay? It's one big company. They've been making these things for years. A handy tool to have around for all kinds of stuff. I use them all the time. I think they're great. I don't really have any trouble with these, but some people do, and I think that there could be manufacturing deficiencies from one to the other, but what do you expect? It's like 10 or 12 bucks. From the same company that brought you this, came this. I saw this in the other day. This is part of their organics line, and I wanted to grab one just to check it out, because when I was in the store, I just opened it up to see, because it's actually full of material. See that? Okay, I want everybody to know that this smells like liquid hot garbage, and I think that's disgusting. Al, I love you, buddy, but your affinity for sticking your nose into things that came out of other people's butts, I will never understand.
This is gamier, bigger chunks. It's really more dumpster. I get the rotting pork a little bit.
This doesn't have any butt juice in it.
It definitely smells like success.
Just some organic material, but it stinks. I mean, it's like rotten eggs and nasty, and I'm going to have to dispose of it properly before I use this container. However, that's one part of it. This was the interesting part. Here, no straw. I know that a lot of people have trouble with that. When they're spraying, they get it seems like the uptake gets kind of messed up in these. This may be a solution for that, so we're actually gonna test it out today. It's pretty much the same thing. Obviously, we don't have a control, so I'm gonna have to find out how much is actually flowing out, but I can tell you straight out of the gate what's gonna happen with this is water is going to pour down into this container, because they sell it with this dry soluble stuff, and it doesn't actually solubilize very well. I mixed some in water just to find out. But the water goes down and pressures into this, and then as you spray, then it's just it keeps filling up and filling up and filling up. So I'm gonna assume that it has the same flow rate, just because we're using the same parts on the front end. It's gonna run at like 1.5 gallons or 2 gallons a minute is basically where this is gonna spray. And then the only other thing is this container here is 28 ounces, where these are marked to 32, but they can hold a bit more. And really, even though they're almost identical, the nozzle size is the same on the inside, they don't really switch out just because of the shape. And you can see here, see how we've got this sort of contour that comes down like this? It doesn't allow for a good seal onto this one. That was the first thing I tried, just to see if it would be compatible between the two. I'm gonna dump out this stinky, smelly, hot liquid garbage just into this for now, because it's terrible, and it hangs in the air forever. Why? So it's soluble, right? So it's dusty, but here, check this out. That stinks so bad. Ooh, Stings the nostrils. Get that away from me. First and foremost, the easiest thing to do is it really doesn't make a difference if you have this hooked up to your cup gun or not, the cup portion. We're gonna hook the hose up to this. We're gonna run it. We're gonna go ahead and measure it out, time it into this bucket, and see where we are as far as flow rate, and then we'll continue on from there. Should always make sure that the trigger isn't locked on. That's probably a smart thing. Okay, so that put out way more than I thought. I mean, we're looking at like probably 3 gallons. You guys see that right there? You know, we got a 5-gallon bucket. Yeah, I'm thinking that put out like 3 gallons a minute. That could mean that stuff flies out of here. So let's test it with some aerate. So you can see that this is kind of pulsing right now. There's one thing that I'm going to have to explain that I can tell what this is doing that may or not be good for you guys out there. Give me a second. You can't spray like this, and you can't spray like this. You have to spray like this. Okay, so here's the deal. I think it's good to explain how these things work just so you understand the difference. Now, I'm gonna give this an okay rating. Once it was flipped upside down and sprayed, it sprays just fine, but you have to understand that when you do something without a metering device, like the straw that is constantly siphoning out of one of these, this will never empty. So you're constantly diluting what's in there, diluting what's in there, diluting what's in there. So it'll never go all the way out. And you could stand out here spraying any of the N-ext products for days because a little drop of that will turn water black. So I don't know if this is the best option for anybody other than doing maybe small areas, small feeding gardens and things like that, which is unfortunate because I think that the concept is pretty good. Honestly, it's not that much different than an easy flow injection system, which I played with last year. And those are the same type of thing. You fill it with a concentrate, you hook your hose in, and whenever you water or you spray or whatever it is that you're going to do, running through that hose bib. So the way that works is it starts out really strong, and then over time it just dilutes down, dilutes down, dilutes down. So you may not get a consistent feeding across. I may have way more material going down on one side of the lawn, and by the time I get to the other, not so much. Now, there are ways around it, but that's a little bit of a challenge because then you're changing the timing of your pace. You're spraying fast on half, slow on the other half, and I just don't know that it's worth it. I'm sorry to say, I gotta stick with the Ortho on this one. Now what's gonna be really fun is we've got a few days of snow coming, but when the sun comes out next time, I have a feeling this lawn is going to be looking pretty green. Anyway, that's all I really got for you today. I'm gonna get out of here and get back inside. See ya. Look how, so it's soluble, right? So it's dusty, but here, check this out. That stinks so bad. Stings the nostrils.